simang matigo sigulit da pitik saming iya nungo simawatigun nungo simawatigo sigulit da pitik saming iya Yang idak pisimuna ikiak tang
You ready?
Yeah, I guess.
Tell me when.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, this one.
Ubumi, Quyanaq, Qaikaffi, Pangma, Nunaptingnun, Uvanga Atiga, Margaret Nuxan Elias. Good afternoon and welcome to Where We Live Now. My name is Margaret Elias, and on today's show we have Miss Erica Donovan.
Hello, where am I looking?
Oh, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. You just blew my mind there with your intro. I was like,
I could see you.
now ask me to do that. Yeah, I could happen.
I could see you from the corner of my eye. I'm like,
My eyes were just like, oh,
I do
that
this
was
a lot.
impressive.
Yeah,
Wow.
practicing, trying.
Good job, Margaret. I'm proud of you.
I just said, welcome to Where We Live Now. That's what the show is now called. It used to be the Tunnganarniq. I say it very southern, like I don't say it properly, but I do say our dialect properly, and that's what I was saying.
So where we live now.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. Where we live now.
So, with every show, the way I like to start it, before we start talking about your beautiful work, I like to ask every guest to introduce themselves, who they are, where they're from, where their family's from, exactly the same way you would as if you were talking to an elder, just to let our viewers know where they can place you.
That's my cousin. So Erica, I originate, like Margaret, from the shores of the Arctic Ocean, Tuktoyaktuk, Northwest Territories. I come from the Grubin family back home. It's a pretty big family. And my dad is from Saskatchewan. And so, yeah, the best of both worlds. And you'll see that sometimes often in my work, I name my jewelry Two Worlds because I grew up, you know, with my Indigenous community, and then I don't know if it's the right to say, but my white man community. So two worlds.
Yeah. So you grew up in Tuk, and you came into the fashion world, the artist world, like early. I feel like a lot of people are pushing into it right now.
Yeah.
But you came in before there even really was an Indigenous crafting world where it was more known.
Yeah.
As opposed to now, like back then. So let's start from the beginning.
I feel like I was born a creator. I mean, you know, I was winning drawing contests, coloring contests as a child in school,
I actually
right?
remember that.
Yeah, and like 2
Yeah.
years in a row with Lucy Cockney, our home ec teacher, I won the home ec award, which had like this huge tickle box of like all this sewing stuff. So I feel like, you know, growing up in Tuck and living where we live so remotely, like you have to create for survival, right? Like we were in school creating mitts and parkas and shoes and whatnot. So I always felt like I had this creative side to me, and I have my Aunt Maureen who always supported that too, because all her life she was an artist. So, you know, she'd go south and she'd buy me like coloring books and like she taught me how to press flowers and create art with that. And so like, yeah, I dabbled in it all my life. But like what I'm doing now, my brand, She Was a Free Spirit, like I actually took a course at the Great Northern Arts Festival. And I knew prior to going into this course that it would teach me the skills to go forward and make earrings, because what I had made was a card holder using the brick stitch technique. And so I did that, enjoyed it. I think I was the only participant that finished her like card. I even went to my teacher the next day. I was like, look, finished, just wanted my star. But, you know, I went home and I was like, oh, I really like this. And then like naturally, like everybody else, they took to Pinterest and whatnot. But then I realized like as you're going, like it just became so natural. And like what I really enjoyed was playing with colors and like putting them together, and like the things that I was seeing, that how they were making me feel. I was like, oh my God, like I think I have something good going on here. So yeah, it just kind of all fell into place, and here I am.
So your first project was a card holder. How did that transfer into earrings?
Because we had to put a brick stitch diamond on that card holder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I knew, because I always loved jewelry, right? Like I managed originals for Arlene and fell in love with jewelry. And so I just knew like, oh, I could be able to make earrings with this teaching. So yeah, bonus.
Did you have anyone that like inspired you, like pushed you to motivate you to do earrings?
No, I just always loved jewelry. So it was just my own love of that I wanted to, like at first I was just going to do it for myself. But like, yeah, everyone would just kind of blew up to the idea of what I was doing. And like, it just hasn't stopped since. So, I mean, heck, I'm here on TV with you. So,
so you started... Let's start with your earliest ones. We have some of your earrings here. And they've evolved. They've changed over time. Your first ones, I think, were studs, right? Yeah?
Yeah. I couldn't find... I would still be doing studs, but I haven't been able to find sterling silver backings for them yet. And so I try to incorporate quality findings in my jewelry. And yeah.
Yeah, so you moved over to the danglies?
I did, yeah.
I
like
chains,
anything,
though.
right? Like you get bored of doing the same thing over and over and over. So like you continue to like innovate and create and da-da-da. And so like, yeah, just my brain, like, you know, I could be sitting there sewing and my hands are like slow. You're doing it one beat at a time. But like in my brain, I'm on like pair number 5 in design, right?
Yeah.
So I actually just started like taking notes of my ideas that are filtering through, because I'll forget it.
Yeah.
So...
That was what I was going to ask. How do you come up with your designs? Like, how do you come up with what you want? Because this is the start, I'm assuming.
Yes.
This would be the start.
That size was the start.
Do you draw out your patterns you want to try
I did at the
them
beginning.
out? Yeah.
And then I just did it so much that it's just in my brain now. And so now it's just like, I literally just kind of pile my beads on my table, play around with the colors for, you know, the good part of it, and I'll see something, and then even something that I had planned, like something changes as you're creating, right? Like you see something that you didn't think of before, and so you go that route with color coordinating anyways. And so it's always changing, like you're always wanting to evolve. So and then just being in Indigenous fashion, like one thing you'll learn is everything is big. So that's where I took from the small to trying to create more statement pieces to stay relevant in that world and just to stand out. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you find it difficult sometimes?
What?
Creating bigger pieces?
Oh my God, it's so time consuming. Like, I created, like, you asked me earlier where I get inspiration from, and like basically life in general, right? Like on holidays, I'll see, like, there's that painting in Vancouver on this building. I was like, oh my God, I love this painting. Like, I see color everywhere, right? My cousin Robert, our cousin Robert, who just passed away, would post the most beautiful photos of our hometown. A cop that was once stationed there post a photo. That's this one here that came up with the that's where I created the Tuck Skies design. So like I see color everywhere. Like I'm out picking berries in the fall, and you get those vibrant pinks and the greens and the reds. Like color is everywhere. Yeah.
And then let's move, like, you've started your business. When did it start really taking off? Like, I know it's taken off here, but it's kind of taken off all over North America. And further. When did it start taking off for you? Do you think?
Kind of when the Indigenous fashion kind of started picking up. Like, there's a lady by the name of Sage Paul, who's the creator of what was Indigenous Fashion Week Toronto, which is now IFA, Indigenous Fashion Arts. And she held a festival in Toronto, and I had applied on that for She Was a Free Spirit and was accepted. So I paid my own way down there. I brought an inventory of, I want to say, 52 earrings. And like everybody that's anybody in fashion right now in that world was at that festival. And so like we all met each other. We all like kind of were already following each other. And it honestly like felt like such a family oriented festival, because like we were all there like-minded with the same vision of like doing our part of reconciliation through our love of Indigenous fashion, right? So like it's when I left there, like they grow, they take you with them, right? Like you, it's such a supportive community in the sense of like, you know, they have a pair of your earrings, well, they're going to tag you on social, and then you get that much more following. And so it just grows and grows and grows. Like it's just one big like networking family where we all carry each other up. Yeah.
That's really nice. And I think like everyone's still, like, I'm assuming is still supportive just like that as they were.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And it's grown like so much bigger now. Like today, like you have more than just the fashion week in Toronto. You've got Vancouver, you've got the one that happens in Winnipeg. Like it's everywhere. So yeah, that world has grown, and it's so nice to see. Yeah.
How do you love to incorporate your culture? Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, I always was mesmerized by the dancing parkas, right? Like when you're sitting there watching drum dancing, the drum A is like moving. It almost can make you like feel emotional. So like for me, I just think that's got to be like our people's prayer, right? And then the black and white on there, like I just always it always caught my eye. And I can remember being a young girl, and I always you know, studied fashion magazines and had like my collages on the wall and stuff. And a designer that really incorporated black and white also was Calvin Klein, which I love the simplicity of it, right? And so yeah, it's like the love of those drum dance trims, and they just kind of bring out the color in what I do. So it's been going well.
So you've done that in this, but you've done it in like incorporated different textures, different furs, different and it's just something that you just love to do, just to explore. And
100, because like a part of me too is like I'm most known for this style, right? And so I try to incorporate that in everything, whether working in fur, and you're not always gonna get like that signature look, but yeah, definitely, like I try to like dabble with seal, and there's so many things that I still want to do that I haven't gotten around to do in respects to fur. So yeah, I love that, you know, when people see my jewelry, like it's such a statement that they just know that it comes from me, right? So that's kind of cool.
And I'm assuming you've had to learn marketing.
Yeah, I actually took a course with do you know the business called Entrepreneur?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, they were originally based out of Yellowknife. I think they're in Whitehorse now, but they held a circumpolar fashion cohort. And according to them, I was the first person to submit my application because I seen it come online. I was like, holy, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And so they brought artists from the Yukon, from the NWT, from Nunavut, and we all got to go to Yellowknife for a week. And we had everybody that's leading in the fashion industry, like whether retail, marketing, creating, like everybody came in and gave us their, like energy, their knowledge. So like, and that was a part of the training in itself, right? Like we had to create a business plan, like, so they gave us like all of these amazing tools. Like I always knew I wanted to be online. I just didn't know how. So I really felt when I took part in Entrepreneurs cohort that kind of just took it all in, because at the same time too, I'm such a people pleaser that when I got home, I was like, okay, I don't want to be a student that fails. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. And so that kind of pushed me to get started with my online presence.
I know, like it's been 15 minutes. I know that this is over 7 years? 6?
When did I do the GNAF program? I want to say 2016.
Yeah.
Could be 2016 or 2017. I even forget.
So that sounds like a lot of stuff you've done over a certain amount of time. Because that's just a portion of what you've done with your love for creating.
Yeah, like the biggest thing, like I love seeing the growth, and I love like advocating like on our people's behalf, because like we're so far up here that we're still kind of behind in that world in Indigenous fashion, right? Like and so to promote like where we come from, who we are, our stories through what I do, like we have beautiful fashion, right? And so trying to like advocate too, like, it's not just make for sale. There's like opportunities with what you create, right? Like look at Christina, she's on the runway versus like, and typically that's how our like creating was kind of looked at, was like people created to put food on the table, which is fine too, but like there's a bigger world out there for that stuff now, more so than ever. So yeah,
I feel like, because I'm an artist too, and I remember when we were first started talking like over a year ago now, you said think bigger, and I was like, bigger sales? How? Because my sales were really good.
Yeah.
But I got worn out. And so now I understand that you mean think bigger, think more than beyond just sales. Think of like how far your art can go.
Absolutely. Like there's, opportunities everywhere. And like sometimes you lose money on the investment, but the end result is so much greater, because like you're putting yourself out there on a broader scale where, like the recognition can in turn be more beneficial to you and what you want to do, right?
Yeah. So. Okay. So you've been featured a lot, and you have stuff here, a nice good stack. I am going to start with first, because it does fall into art. I'm going to shout out to when you used to host.
Oh my God!
Only
with
because
my awful haircut that my kids still tease me about.
Had I had time to plan, I would have asked David for this footage.
Oh my God!
You got lucky.
Thank God.
Yeah, we
It
should've
might
loaded
get
it up.
edited.
I think I was pregnant with Casey too when I did that show. Yeah.
What was that like?
Honestly, I sucked in front of the camera.
I remember, I didn't know you did it. It was Janelle Wayman that told me that you were doing it and that you did so good. So I don't think that you
that
sucked.
means a lot. I just remember it being like a lot harder than I thought it would be, right? Because like you kind of have to stay in line with what the feature is about in the show, and so like I had to redo lines so many times that I just honestly, at that time, I didn't feel I was ready for the camera. Not like you. You're such a natural.
They make it easy. Tamara and David,
Yeah.
they make it easy. They say it's like unscripted.
Oh, nice.
So you just have to know how to talk to
Yeah.
people. It's
like
easier.
TV's kind of changed in that way too, hey?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was,
Oh
and that
my
was
God.
like, how many years ago?
Oh God, Casey was born in what, 2007? So that had to have been like 2006. Yeah. A long time ago.
I'm not going to guarantee that David won't include some of that.
Oh my God.
So sorry for people watching it live. You may watch it in the rerun.
Yeah, that hair though.
It was 2006.
Mm.
And then, since then,
Yep.
you have continued.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go over some of it. Let's show, how about the first one?
This one, well, I kind of put it in order to what I have, and I don't even have all of the magazines that I've been featured in just because I wasn't able to get. So this is the Indigenous Fashion Week Toronto, the very first one that I attended. So they created this beautiful, I kept it because I love this image. This is actually like one of my favorite images within Indigenous fashion. This is actually Sage's sister. And to me, when I look at this, it just looks like art, right? Like it's just stunning. So somewhere in here is me. I think actually Paris, my first model, is in there. And then I did this article, which
Let's see.
She was your first model?
she was my very first model. Yeah.
Paris Wayman.
What's her name? Nathalie. She did the photo shoot.
Nice.
Yeah, and
okay.
this festival like really loved Nathalie. Is that how you say it?
Natalie Heilberg Harris.
Yeah, she like did amazing photos for me, and that was my first photo shoot, and it turned out great. And so I got to do this one, which I love.
And this is in the,
That was the Canadian North.
oh, the feature.
Yeah. And the only reason I love it so much is because my Auntie Jean was on that flight one day and she opened it and she got so excited when she seen that it was me. And so I got a picture of her looking at it with a smile.
And what was this one? To
Just-
create is to heal.
Yeah, just kind of like the same things that...
Oh, look at how nice. There's more pictures. I think that was one of your first ones too.
That was a photo by Nathalie also, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it is. I love that photo. And then this one I'm not, so somewhere in here, do you remember this photo shoot?
I remember it. That was for
That receipt.
what is the brand?
Canada Goose.
Yes,
Yeah. So in here, and like, I don't know where it
It
is,
featured
but
Victoria Arctic Fashion, I think.
Um,
She did it.
yeah, Marika's wearing my earrings. So I thought that was like, that was my first intro to a major fashion magazine, was her wearing my earrings in there.
And this is on L.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It is. I thought so because I grew up like, you know, obsessing over these magazines.
Are these your only copies?
Yes.
You should like see if you could get more and then frame them.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I
Like
wish
how
I
people
got the
do that?
Vanity Fair and the Vogue one, but those were Italy. How do you, like, they produced it in Italy, so I didn't get my hands on that. But yeah, the Milan trip that I was a part of with IFA, I was featured in like all of these magazines. So it was, yeah, that's something that
I wish that was something that the people who brought you there made a priority,
I know.
that they would have gotten the stuff
to
that
make
you're-
sure that
that
we,
you have your own
100%.
copies.
And then I did find a place where I can buy the Vogue one. And I had ordered 2 copies, but then they came back and they're like, yeah, it's sold out. But the other participants that took part in that festival, some were able to get a copy.
I would have loved to have that.
Me too.
Because it's Vogue.
Yeah. I should actually like put these away somewhere special so that like I don't lose them or bend them. I don't even know where in here is. I don't even know. Anyways, yeah, I'm in L2, so that's super cool. And then while I was in Milan, we got featured in the Globe and Mail.
Oh,
I
that's
actually
cool.
did an interview with them. They called me when I was en route to, there's Evan. That's who I traveled to Milan with too. He was so amazing. Evan Ducharme.
And what's his?
He creates like really beautiful fashion, specializes in like costume, like really nice. There's Sage. Beautiful Sage. She's like the queen of Indigenous fashion.
Say,
yeah.
When you went, was it the first Indigenous Fashion Week?
Yeah, it was the first time an Indigenous presence was ever showcased during Milan Fashion Week.
Yeah.
So she coordinated it all with the help of like the Canadian government, so like the embassy, Canada Arts.
Did she approach you, or did you apply to go into it?
I didn't apply.
Oh.
I got a letter via email, oddly, and it was like, yeah, you're invited to come to Milan. And I was like, like I was visiting Brian and Carmen that night, and like an email thing pops up, and I open it, and I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, what? And like there was such excitement with me reading, and I had to read it a second time, so they were like yelling at me, what? But funny thing is like Sage had, I think, 5 artists selected. It was a 6-part like participant, and Auntie Marine was in Toronto for one of her shows, and she had met Sage at one of her openings, and like Auntie Marine had already known that I had known Sage, and so Sage must have like brought up like, yeah, I'm going to Milan, and like we need one more, whatever. And it was in that moment Auntie Marine was like, oh my God, like why aren't you bringing Erica? Like nobody does colors like Erica.
Yeah.
And Sage was like, yeah, you're right. And so I didn't even know, like it just came in an email. My Aunt Marine, when I told her, she's like, yeah, I knew. And I'm like, oh my God, you held this from me. Yeah. And so like, honestly, that opportunity in itself too, like I was on eTalk. We were on Entertainment Tonight Canada, like every fashion magazine. It was insane.
It must have been lots of fun.
It was so much fun. I saw for the first time like a guy in high heels just walking the streets. I was like, ooh! It was exciting. Like fashion everywhere. Like you seen ladies walking that looked as though they just got off the runway. It was awesome.
What was the prep time? Did you guys have like goals that you had to meet in terms of how much stock you had to bring?
Like they kind of gave us like an idea of what was expected of us. And I think with that one too, I went with 51 pieces. I worked hard like all winter from the time, I think I got the notice in November, and we went to Milan at the end of February. So from then until then, I just nonstop, like I couldn't not, right? Like it's Milan, it's fashion capital of the world. So,
So that was like a lot of work then, just sitting down and beading.
Honestly, Margaret, like even you, when you start dabbling into these like national festivals or international, like that's just it, right? Like you kind of have to put aside like the daily sales, and you just have to like focus on creating a collection, because standard is like at a minimum at any of these festivals is 30 pieces, if that, right? Like so the more the merrier, and they want to see that you can like hold your own. And
The way I see it is almost like, for me, because I've done very successful, I would say, at the small markets here, you almost have to put a hold on all of that and focus just on a few a year.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're just taking that same stock over there. And it's a lot of work, especially if you work full time.
It's so hard. Yes, I have a full-time job. And then you have like family members coming at you like, it's my wife's birthday. Like, can you hook me up? And, you know, there's lots of interruptions, a lot, right? Or like, you know, say like I've donated to Children's First Society every year a pair of earrings, because like had it not been for them too, I wouldn't have had the success that I had in my career, right? So I like to give thanks to them. And so there's things like that come at you, but like you literally have to stay focused to having a full-on collection, which is a lot of work.
And I remember when you were doing this, you also had your collaboration you did with NWT Diamonds.
Oh God, yeah, that came too. Yeah, NWT Arts is like thriving in the support for artists. And I seen did I see a call out? I don't even know how that started, to be honest, off the top of my head. But yeah, like I got the contact with Diamonds de Canada, someone that manages it, and they wanted to do a collaboration. I was like, oh my God, yes, like cool. And so I actually designed myself the faucets is that how you say it? Facets?
The
that went,
facets? The
yeah,
facets, yeah.
that went into, like, that the diamond went into. And it was the jeweler for Harry Winston that created it. Yeah.
I know diamonds, so that's crazy. You must have been screaming. Like,
not really.
I would have been.
I don't know. It was cool because in that moment I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool. I can level up another level. Like, to say you worked with like diamonds is pretty cool. We've been talking like after that too, and like, you know, there's more opportunity should you want it. I just haven't really like pursued it, but it's always there. Like they even said, like, Erica, like, what size diamonds you want. Like you can have like $1,000 diamonds or you can have $10,000 diamonds. Like that range was there and it was insane. Like, so kudos to them. I mean, that's awesome that they're doing that. Yeah.
And those earrings sold.
They did. I sold them to the Inuvik, and they were in the craft store in Calgary, and I believe they're gone from there now.
They're gone. I don't know who ended up with them, but I know they're gone.
Yeah, I know who ended up with them. I had a lot of requests for that too. Like, I feel like, you know, a lot of people were interested in the diamonds, and especially I think it was just right after Mom had passed that I created those, and so I had named them Tootsie. And I feel like, you know, not everybody's at the recognition of what Indigenous art should be valued at when you're creating like fine quality jewelry. And so like I would tell the people that, because I did get a lot of interest, I would tell them the price and they'd be like, oh.
They're diamonds.
Yeah. So
designed by.
Yeah. So thankfully, like, the Inuvik was super supportive and gave me my price, as they always do. And yeah.
That's so funny. I'm sorry.
I know. Not everybody understands.
I saw the price, and I too went like, I can't do that. But they're Northwest Territory diamonds, set in rose gold, right? Yeah,
they were beautiful NWT diamonds in a rose. Was it a rose gold? I think it
sure
was.
It was a rose gold setting.
Yeah.
I know.
I should have just kept them, if anything, because I had the option to keep them too. But at the same time, too, my mind is always thinking growth. And so, like, I wanted it out there in the world, a diamond pair of earrings that I had created, right? Like, it's all a part of the level up, like, the sacrifices you have to make to do that. Because at the end of the day, my end goal is I want my earrings in Hollywood. I want my earrings like mainstream in these magazines as though it's just the norm, right? Like that's where I'm aiming. So,
and I think I don't want to use the word lucky, but right now is the perfect time.
It's a good time
to how the Indigenous is like, just the spotlight is on Indigenous artists, creators, people. And I was watching, did you follow Rebecca Strong winning Canadian Idol?
I don't follow her, but I see it everywhere. Like, that's huge.
I actually watched her on TikTok.
Oh, wow.
So when I watched her win, I cried.
Oh.
I was like,
well, yeah, because it's like when one of us succeeds, we kind of all succeed, right? Like just to be on that.
Can you imagine how happy? Like, and you.
I did see a meme like, "Hey cousin," like lend me $20 or something. That was pretty
Someone
funny.
direct messaged her.
Because I think the prize is what, $1 million?
$1 million plus the $25,000 golden buzzer ticket.
Oh, wow.
Like when I say I watch it, I'm not kidding, and I cried during every.
No, it's a beautiful time to be. It was always a beautiful time to be Indigenous,
but it's
like
just special that like everything is like focused right now. So now is the time. Yeah,
it is, and like with all these festivals and like spotlight getting put on Indigenous fashion, like now is the time to jump in.
So, earrings.
Yeah.
Do you do like this is all of your business.
Yeah.
For yourself, do you like to try and learn how to do traditional sewing too?
Yeah, well, I try to make my kids their mitts every year, right? Like they're skidoo heads, so they like skidooing, so they need warm mitts. I recently bought a fur machine that I have yet to even use, but I have a dream of like one day creating fur coats because like I did this fur program with the master furrier Farley Chatto, and who once worked for the House of Dior too. Like it's just so, his story is so fabulous. But I took his course in Toronto at the Ryerson, now TMU. And so like that gained me the skills of operating a fur machine, and like he taught us like the different things that you can do with fur. And so like how beautiful is it? Because like back in the day, our Nanuks, our people had a thriving fur machine, right? Today it doesn't exist. And like it also aligns with like the decline in trapping, right? Like the fur trade industry is a dying business. And so like if our own people can hone in on those skills and create like, you know, like fur is luxury. So that's like my goal. I will get around to it one day, but these things just keep happening. And yeah.
So that's your goal, hopefully.
Yeah, like the master furrier that taught me, like he's created fur coats for Drake. Like that's how fabulous. Like, you know, and we here in the Arctic have the most luxurious fur.
We
do. It's just on my to-do list.
How big is your book?
Oh God. Yeah, it's pretty massive. But there's something like so special too, like working with fur, like cutting it, like hand stitching it too, like aside from the sewing machine, like there's like an honor in it, right? Like you feel as though you're making your ancestors proud, and like I don't know, fur is so sexy. Like it just gives this
when I was making my earrings and trying to incorporate fur, hard.
It is.
It is such a hard fur. Like fur is such a hard material to work with your hands, because you want the fur to lay a certain way. Everything you want to lay a certain way. And then for me, and I'm assuming for you, always the nicest quality that you can produce.
Yeah, because it's your name that you're putting out there. So
I find it, I can't imagine what it was like to sew with it, with a machine.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I'll let you know when I get my fur machine up and running. When I was in Toronto, though, with Farley's program, though, like I finished Casey's mitts like in a day. Versus hand stitching, like I was just like, so it is fast, Whether the quality is there, though, it could be a different story.
And you started incorporating
muskox.
Yeah, you started incorporating what, like the horn, like they're not carvings, they are carvings.
They kind of are, because like I'm not doing the carving though. Like for me, when I think of muskox, I just think of elegance. And so again, I wanted to level up my beadwork, and so I mean, my husband have been a great team. Like he's the one who's been creating all of these pieces, and
he's doing this with a Dremel, I'm assuming.
No, we've bought all the tools, all the tools, the sanders, everything, like the saws, you name it, we have it. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, because Greg did carving, he made jewelry, and he would make you know, the combs.
How pretty.
They would, we have 3.
Oh, wow.
He got an order for 5, which in 2017, that's a big order for 5 pieces. And he wouldn't fill them, because after he did the 3, they just snap on him. And he said it was just too, like, to separate like that. He said it's so delicate. They're really delicate, Yeah. So...
You didn't show me a picture of his combs. I didn't even see.
I do have a picture somewhere, but I love carving.
At work tomorrow.
Yeah. No, I do.
I would love to get my hands on ivory. Like you know, we grew up and we seen like, you know, the fashionable ladies back in the day, and
everyone wore ivory.
Yes, and it was so elegant, like that white with like our dark skin, and I'm
so easily influenced by people. there was another artist, and she was like, I just really like to wear ivory today, like in today's world. And I was just like, wow, I really like ivory too, I think.
But how do we get our hands on it? Like, it's so rare to see ivory jewelry nowadays, right?
It is, yeah. It's hard to come by.
Yeah, when you know a hookup, hook me up too.
We'll have to get Greg working again. Yeah. Did you have one more magazine underneath that one?
No, that's just the other part of the Globe and Mail. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there they are.
Christian actually came in because they hired, I actually got Christian hired from Globe and Mail to come and photograph me in my space at home.
You've worked with Christian quite a bit, right? With the 81 images.
Yeah, because, I mean, he's a talented photographer himself, and, like, working with him, he's so awesome in the sense of, like I will come in with my direction of what I want, the look I want, right? Like, everything pre-planned with whatever, and then he has the guts to, like, sit there like, no, like, let's try this, right? Which is so important in that world, because you're not always right sometimes, right? And sometimes a different lens can be the most beautiful thing. So he's like a secret fashion photographer himself. I tell him that all the time because he's created like amazing photos for me.
He has such beautiful photos. I've tried to get him on the show.
Oh,
he knows his invitation is open whenever he's ready.
Come on, Christian, come on down.
I've reached out about earrings because I want to create a portfolio for myself one day, just of the work. Like, when you think back to like what my Nanak did or what your Nanak did, like, that's an accomplishment when you can sew, when you're a seamstress that much. And how beautiful would it be to have, like, if you thought back and you could look at all the pictures of everything your Nanak made, wouldn't that be special?
It would be so important to be.
So that's kind of like how I envision what I want to do for myself is I want to create. I sold everything. I don't keep anything. Like, I kept 2 pairs of earrings.
Well, that's a good sign that you're in demand. So.
Yeah. But one thing I would like to do is just make and then make a portfolio just to create it for yourself. I just think that that's so beautiful, and you could pass it down to your kids. Like, look at how fun this is. Like,
Yeah, I recently did that with that huge collection I just dropped at IRC. Like, I was playing around. Like, I'm in no way of any talent with photos because I feel that's like a specialty in itself.
It is.
But I was playing around with it, and like, you can create art, imagery of whatever, right? Like, I was taking these and like doing shapes and stuff. So like, there's so many different things you can do.
Yeah. I forgot where my thought process was going to go with pictures. Yeah. So we can talk about that. You created your own website, but you also do sell through Inuvik.
Yeah, they're amazing to work with, like Lorna, Brian. The support is there. And it's just nice because, like, having a website, the administrative behind it it's tedious, right? And that's time, and time is precious. Whereas if you sell to a gallery, that's the bonus. It takes the administrative off of you. So
and that's their job.
Yeah.
That's literally their job, yeah.
Yeah, I heard a comment recently that, like, when my stuff gets dropped there, it's like chaos. Like, from online to in-store, it's like, what's sold? Like, and it was said that, like, it's only your stuff, too. And I'm like, that's a good thing.
I get a similar comment, but it's not that it's chaotic. It's that my stuff sells, like all of it sells, and it's so nice.
It is. It's like a feeling of accomplishment, and like it's like the cherry on top of the whatever, right? Because like all of your hard work that you've just poured into your collection, and then it's like, there's like a bittersweet to it too, though, because like I remember dropping this one off to IRC thinking like, when am I going to have this much? I need photos, right? And so that's why I was trying to dink with the camera. Whether I did a good job is another story, though. So, yeah.
And then we didn't talk about it yet, but one of the ones that I knew the most, one of the ones that I saw happen like one of the ones that I saw visually online as it was happening was your Tuck Skies. Yeah, so what was that like? What was the process of, because you were nominated and then you won an award through Simon's?
Yeah. I was a vendor. I actually just like turned them down last week too. They continuously hound me to still be a vendor, but it was just too much, right? Like, but yeah, like I saw that photo that Chris Kelly, who's an ex-RCMP, created. That's his image of Tuck with that sunset. And creating that Tuck Skies, I submitted it for the Simon's Award, or Fabric 1840. It's a division of Simon's. And I submitted that design and never heard nothing. And then next thing was I in Toronto? I don't even know. I got a phone call that I was a finalist. So it was like me and 30 other people. And I was like, oh yeah, there's no way I'm ever gonna win. No, it was in Toronto where I had got the phone call, because they do let you know beforehand. So I got the phone call that I had won, and the prize was $10,000, which was like, but then I had to keep my lips shut till July 1st, which was the launch, the announcement of it. That was hard. Like, growing up in a small town.
You tell everybody.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God. I'm pretty sure I had a few glasses of wine and probably told a few people, but yeah, that was exciting. And so like that came out, and at that point I had to hire somebody. So I had hired Elisa from Tuck to manage Simon's for me, because it was just too much.
Well, that was like in the middle of Milan. That was also when you were doing the diamond earring. If I'm correct, the timelines are very short in between.
Well, no, it's something, I don't know what it is, Margaret. It's as though I'm destined in this world, because like something happens, and then like at the same time too, this world is like my meditation, right? Like I feel like on my hardest days is where my best work comes from. And so like on the days, like everybody, we all have our bad days, blah blah blah, whatever, something always pops up from this world of mine to refocus and be like, hey, you have this in your life to look forward to, like keep going, So I feel it's just like the universe taking care of me of what's truly destined to be in my life. So somehow timing's always worked.
What's popped up right now then?
Nothing, actually. I just turned down, I just resigned from being a vendor at Indigenous Fashion Arts this summer, because I'm just gonna go on holidays and want to just shut off my life for a minute and not people, and so I actually don't have anything.
And you just went to Toronto. You got to
I did. Oh,
walk the red carpet.
Yeah, I was a finalist for, what was it? Indigenous Artistry Award with a magazine called Lux out of Toronto, and that too came to me. I'm like, what? And like I even started asking people, like, how did you find me? Because like, I'm not kidding you, like 95% of my orders for my website are from the States. And like sometimes some of them message me, and I'm like not shy that way. I'll just like, how did you find me? And to be honest, like their response, pretty much everyone's response is these magazines.
Wow.
My Milan trip, right? Because when they Google Indigenous fashion, those articles pop up.
First.
And so I've been like sending earrings often, like over to the States. And then I did the award show in Toronto. I didn't win, but it was like
still fun to go.
It was like a red carpet. Well, it was black carpet, but like I had my hair and makeup done. Like you see me every day. I'm basically in t-shirt and no makeup.
Just like
So it was really cool to like get dolled up and feel like, a princess in my Christina King design. And like I felt beautiful. And I'm not gonna lie, the award show in itself was boring, but but it was just cool to like be a part of.
Yeah.
Good food too.
I'm gonna ask a little bit about Christina. You've gotten to work with her a lot too. She is growing, really, I think, faster than she can keep up. Same as you.
Yeah, she's like, honestly, was like my role model, my idol ever since I was a child, right? Because she'd come home from school with all the cool clothes and so like I admired her I still do, and
that's how I felt about you.
Oh,
like all the cool clothes.
Oh, that's cute. Well, I'm glad I was that person for you, and you'll be that for someone too. Yeah, we still keep in touch as often as we can. She's insanely busy. She's gonna be like the only Inuvik on the runway in Toronto this spring. It's just in a few weeks, actually. Yeah, she's doing so great.
Yeah. If anybody wants, okay, you have t-shirts. You moved into merch.
I did, yeah. I have this whole idea of designing a t-shirt line. This is just the first launch of it, which showcases the Tuck Skies design. And so it's more like a feature of Tuck. Oh, you'd have to turn it the other way, David. But yeah, I envision on designing all of these cool t-shirts, which, you know, it's not as timely as creating the beadwork. And so it's great when you're involved in festivals to have those fast whatever. And then this can be the more exclusive work, right? So just trying to pump out product and yeah.
If people want to find you, where can they go?
Parks Canada and Inuvik. Yeah, well, I've got my website, shewasafreespirit.com. What else? I'm here in and around Inuvik. Like the Inuvik craft shop features me. And I sent some cups, so I just created these cups too. I sent them to Tuck, to my Auntie Maureen, because she runs the B&B. Yeah, Google's a great source.
Yeah.
Google.
Can people reach you on Instagram, or would you just ask them to go over to your website?
Instagram is probably the best method. Like that's where all creatives kind of hang out and showcase their work and whatnot. So yeah,
The most important question that I didn't ask, how did you come up with She Was a Free Spirit?
Yeah. So at the time, after Quyanaq and realizing I had a talent, I wanted to honor where I come from, like honor my family, right? And so the first imagery to my brand was actually my grandfather's boat that he named Tootsie. And so it was after my mom, and, you know, given the things that my mom had survived in her life, that's where I just came up with She Was a Free Spirit. Yeah. She was so proud too, like, and you know, it's kind of sad in a way, but I know she knows. When I was in Milan, I really talked about it because everybody was interested in the Indigenous cohort. They all wanted to meet us, like the amount of interviews I did, and like so many times I talked about my mom and, yeah, and but I never did get to share that with her before she left, which I mean, I'm sure she can hear me
knows.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to share for being on the show?
No, just thank you for having me and being able to, like, you know, talk about this world and hopes like, you know, it inspires everyone and anyone that there is a big world out there that's just waiting for us Inuvik and to come in and showcase our beautiful artwork, whether fashion or paintings, whatever realm, right? And yeah, I'm just happy to advocate for our people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have any advice you could give to anybody?
Absolutely. Like for me, like you've heard me say earlier that this is like my meditation, and so like I find what's best for our people is like to be busy with your hands. And so it's like, you know, finding something that interests you. It could be cooking, it could be painting, it could be beading. Like continue like looking for something that gives you purpose, and until you find it, don't give up, because to create is to heal, is my saying.
I agree. Yeah. I 100% agree. Thank you for being on the show. We've been planning it for a while.
Yeah.
Both very busy, both managed to make it happen. I'm very thankful.
Oh, thank you.
So
Margaret.
thank you for coming on and showing all of your beautiful work. And thank you for everyone for coming and watching the show with Erica Donovan.
Peace.
And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Yay, we did it.
Yeah.